Hello, hi everybody. It's Alex Tomaszewska on Way to Grow this Monday evening. So today's episode is about the 5 regrets of the dying, and it's a little different than most other episodes of my show because today I'm going to be talking about a book. So basically, there's just one book that I read for you, and it's got a lot of stories in it. Um, I wanted to say that today's episode is special, but then again, I feel all the episodes are special, really. So every week's topic is special to me. So I'm just going to go with it. So the book is by Brogni. I actually only have it in Polish right now. So the original title, I want to let you know, is the top 5 regrets of the dying, and you may want to get it afterwards. Hey Marty, good to see you here, always on time. So I'm going to be talking about this book only and going through this with you guys. And the reason for this, well, there's various reasons for this. First of all, this is a book about people who are dying and the regrets, so it's filled with stories, really. And I am a big sucker for a story. We are all story lovers, but I do realize it greatly about myself, so I love stories. Hey Aniki, good to see you here. So that's the number one reason. Second reason is that I've always been kind of weirdly comfortable around death, around this whole topic. So, and it's maybe because I faced death when I was a child. I don't know. Anyway, it's a quite comforting topic for me, weirdly, believe it or not. And I posted a while ago, a couple weeks ago, about my grandmother's 90th birthday, right? So that was a very special day. Being 90 is not a privilege that all of us are going to have in our lives, let's face it. And I very strongly believe that in the Western culture, we do not pay enough attention to older people. Maybe you remember, I asked my grandmother, who was 90, I asked her, so she was born in 1929, right? She's been through a lot, she's been through Holocaust, etc. I asked her during her 90th birthday party, do you think the world has changed for better or for worse during that time? And she said, Alex, I can't really see the difference. That was so meaningful to me. She can't really see the difference. And that just confirms what I'm trying to say, is that older people, they have been through the whole journey. Like, we go through life worrying about, oh, my microphone, nobody told me. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if it's even working. You can't hear me, right? Okay, so let me know if you can hear me okay right now, okay? Because I forgot to put my microphone on. Stupid. Marty. Yeah, I think you can hear me. Anyways, so I wanted to say, in the Western culture, we don't really, okay, cool. We don't really pay attention to older people. So we put them in homes and they are left there, and we just don't use all the knowledge that they have. Instead of doing the smart thing, which is learning from their journey, which is what we're going to be doing today, so homework, we just put them in homes and just visit them from time to time. Whereas in the Eastern cultures, they are put, perfect, thank you, they are put on the pedestal. The oldest person in the family, oftentimes it's even a woman, they are the head of the family and they make important decisions, which I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, the world does change, technology changes, but my grandmother, she uses Google. So, she's all very well equipped, let's say, with her phone and her laptop, etc. So, without further ado, no, there's the third reason for which I wanted to talk about it today, and this is a very important reason. So a while ago, when I was doing soul searching, I quit my job, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I was doing a lot of learning and reading, and I came across this article. It was by Brogni, online, with only the 5 regrets of the people who are dying. And when I read it, it actually changed my life. So that's what I'm trying to do for you here today by sharing what I've read in the book. Well, if you do change your life, if you do take some of this to your heart, do let me know. You know, I love stories. And in the meantime, also in the comments, you can give me hearts, you can give me heads up, the thumbs up, and you can also put in your stories, life-changing stories. I would will gladly read them. So that article really changed my life, and some of the things that are described here, I actually think about them when I make decisions. So when I make a decision, like a big decision, or it can even be a small decision really, I'm thinking, am I going to regret it when I'm 70? Am I going to regret it when I'm 80 or 90? How am I going to feel about this? And, you know, I've been working on my courage, and I'm a courage trainer. The thing is, usually the answer is just go for it. People don't regret the things that they did. People regret the things that they didn't do. And thinking this way, thinking from the perspective of the old Alex, which is going to be looking at today, really makes decisions easier, allows me to make better decisions, and usually, or if not always, after making this kind of a decision, something incredible happens. Seriously, because when we move out of our comfort zone, it's very, very, very often about moving out of your comfort zone. When we move out of the comfort zone, that's when things change for us. That's when we grow, and that's what allows better things, more incredible, more amazing things to happen. So that's my third reason for sharing this book with you today. Okay, without further ado, because I don't know for how long I've been talking so far, but you're listening. Thank you very much. So the first regret is regretting I didn't have the courage to live like I wanted, and instead I was living like others wanted me to. So I need to translate as I go, so it may take me, a little bit longer than usually. Just bear with me. So we have a story of Grace, who was her husband was a tyrant. And he was messing up her whole life, basically. Then he died when she was around 60, I think, when he died. So she finally felt free and wanted to do a lot with her life. She wanted to introduce changes. But very soon after he died, it turned out that because he was a smoker, she was terminally ill. And it very quickly turned out that she couldn't do any of the things that she was waiting for all through her life, because she just wasn't able to do them because she was sick. So that really hurt. And I think that's it on Grace. I want to say, don't wait. Don't live your life in the way your parents want you to live it. I used to live my life until I think I was maybe 32, the way my parents wanted me to live it. And it's very, very freeing once you stop doing that. We never know what's going to be happening tomorrow with us. And waiting is really pointless and harmful. The next story that I've chosen is about Florence. So Florence had a husband who committed some kind of a crime, and then she developed a mental illness where she was thinking that everybody was out there to get her. And it developed so badly that she wasn't even able to leave the house, because she thought if she left the house, they would be out there to get her. So she was trapped in her house only because of the limitations that she put upon herself in her head. And then it became so bad that they had to tie her to her bed because she kept screaming. She kept screaming, help, 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 help. And so she was not only tied to her home because of what was happening in her head, but she was also tied to the bed. And now the thing is, when she was in this state, it was impossible to talk to her because she was just in this vicious circle. And this is exactly what happens in our brains. It's the exactly same mechanism. When we are stuck with our thoughts on something, we cannot find a way out of them. We cannot find a way out of this vicious circle. And you don't have to be mentally ill. It happens to a lot of us. That's what I help people with. When you're stuck, it's impossible to find your way out. Very, very often, you're not going to be able to do it on your own, and that's when you need a coach. The thing with Florence is that after this state, when the time came when the second nurse was coming every day, they would drop the barriers of the bed and untie her. She would suddenly stop screaming and become a normal person for a couple hours and be nice. Because once those ties were gone, she was feeling finally free and finally good until her mind went back to the vicious circle. And that's exactly what happens with us. For example, when you go to see a motivational speaker, for a while there is this a lot of great energy pumped into you. You feel motivated and you feel strong, right? But then a week or 2 weeks pass and everything goes back to normal because you're unable to maintain that state on your own. The next story is about, this is a sad one. I was supposed to bring tissues here and water, and I forgot everything today. I've been reading this book for like 2 days for you guys now, and it really put me in a good mood. So even though it's about dying, I don't know. So this is about John and Margaret. So John and Margaret, they had 5 kids, and once the kids were grown-ups, Margaret asked John to go to retire, and he didn't want to retire because he thought that they might need more money in the future. And she was like, well, if we need more money, we can sell the house and get a smaller house. And that fight lasted 15 years. For 15 years, they were fighting whether he should retire or not. And then in the 15th year, John one time looked at his wife and he saw how beautiful she was, and she was as beautiful to him as she was when they met. And she was crying that night, asking him to retire because she wanted to travel. And finally he said, okay, I will retire, but not now. I will retire in a year because right now we're working on this big contract and I want to finish this. So what happened? Well, she was happy. She started planning. She started visiting travel agencies. But after 4 months from that moment, she started feeling sick and nauseated, and she died after 9 months. So John had to retire early, before the 12 months, before the year that he planned anyway, because he had to help his wife, and she died 9 months after he promised her he would retire in a year. And I think this is so true. This is the story of a lifetime of so many of us. We keep waiting, keep postponing the decisions, and even the decisions that influence not only us but our family. Yeah, exactly. So what he says here is that money and fulfillment really isn't worth as much as he was teaching his children, because they were teaching their children to respect money and to make money. And he only understood in the end that really spending time with your close ones is what you're supposed to focus on. Okay, there's another a little piece on money and money mindset here that I wanted to talk to you about. So Brogni, oh, I didn't do the introduction now, did I? I'm just crazy today. Sorry. So she was taking care of, she used to work at in a bank, and I think she worked there for 10 years, but that she didn't love the job. So then she decided to take care of palliative patients, which are people who are dying. So they were in different ages. Most of them were old, but some of them were like 40 or 50 only. And this is what she was doing for like 8 or 9 years. And these regrets, they repeat themselves very, very often. Thank you. So she was struggling with money because obviously that's not a very well-paid job, and you never know when it's going to end. Yes, Danielle, listen on to this. You're going to love it. I know you're going to love it. So she was struggling with money. You know, you never know when that contract is going to end when you're working with somebody who's going to die, right? And she says, anytime that I was focusing on the problems, I just had more problems, which is what I teach. And anytime she was focusing on the beauty of life and grateful, everything started to work out. This topic is just goes throughout the book. Like, this is how she leads her life. By the way, she is a songwriter right now and a bestseller author, obviously, of 2 books. So you may want to check her out. So there was this situation where she wanted to record her first record, and she didn't have the money. She had some money, but not all of the money. She was really worried about it, but everything and really scared. But everything in her heart kept telling her that she should just prepare the session. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Danielle. So she should, everything told her that she should just prepare the session, hire the musicians, hire the producers, everybody. She found this house where they could record it. She should just prepare it as if she had the money. And that lasted for weeks or months maybe. And it was a Friday before the Monday when they were supposed to start recording, and she still didn't have the money. So she started to really, really panic and cry. And then she said, okay, what's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not going to, something must happen before Monday, which will get me the money, basically. And she kind of felt free of all the worry. And then her friend called her, which had no idea what was going on with her. So her friend called her and said, and asked her to meet her and her other friend. Her name was Lenny. At a coffee shop, just to get to know each other. And so they did. So her friend went to look at some books, because it was a bookstore with a coffee shop. And Brogni started to talking with this Lenny lady who she didn't know. And as they were discussing, she told her about the problems that she was having, all the music, the producers, and how happy she was doing this. And then it turned out Lenny was just in the middle of the divorce, and she wanted to do something new. And it turned out that she always wanted to support artists, but she had no idea how to go about it. So on Monday morning, she showed up with the money and was participating in the recording session. So that's how things happened for Brogni that day. I think it's pretty amazing. Did I miss the second regret? I think I missed number 2. Well, yes, I got the stories from number 2. I'm a mess today. I'm sorry, guys. The second regret is, I'm sorry I worked so much. You got that from the stories. So the third regret is, I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to show my feelings. And throughout the book, it shows that when you're dying, when death is approaching, you get a lot of courage. We finally get courage to do and say, well, mostly say, because we can hardly do anything then, to say the things and feel the things that we've been protecting ourselves through our whole lives. And that's why we should learn from this book. That's exactly why it's so important, because people opened up. So Brogni is the kind of a nurse who is not just coming and going. She would have relationships with these people. They would open up to her. And her approach to life is very, very, very close to mine. Like, she appreciates everything that happens around her. It took her a while to get there, same as me. And that's why she was able to make this relationship, have these relationships with these people, and just appreciate what they were telling her. And she loved her job. Right, so the courage to show feelings. We have a story here of Joseph and his wife, Gertruda, I think it was. So they went, I think they were Polish, Gisela. I think they were Polish because they survived the Holocaust. They were in concentration camps, and afterwards they fled to Australia. And he said, so Joseph was dying, but the family didn't want to tell him. They never told him that he was dying. And they also convinced the doctor not to tell him. So they hired Brogni, and he was getting weaker every day, not every week, every day he was getting weaker, and he had no idea what was going on. Well, they wouldn't tell him. So finally, and he said, I'm sorry I worked so much. I loved my job, but I didn't really spend enough time with my family and my children. And also, he asked Brogni, am I dying? And she couldn't lie to him. So she said she was the one to tell him, yes, you are dying. And he was very, very grateful to her for that. And only afterwards he found out about it. He said he was afraid of showing feelings to his family. That's why he was spending so much time working. He had feelings, but he was just afraid or ashamed of showing the feelings. And that was his regret, great regret. He only showed them how to make money and respect money. And then he started crying because he realized, well, he said, they don't really know me. They don't even know me. He was so closed up that his family, he didn't even feel like they knew him because he wasn't really devoting time to them. And then Brogni was trying to get him to talk to his family, but he chose the same path that they chose with him of not telling them. So he didn't really tell them that he knew he was dying. Imagine that. So nothing changed over there. And yet his regret was, they don't even know me. How sad is that? Okay, another story on this one from Jude. So Jude, she was only 40 when she got sick. She had a great husband and a daughter, and they were very much in love. But Jude, because Edward was an artist, he was not approved by her parents, and her mother stopped speaking to her. And she wanted to fix that relationship when she realized she was dying, but the mother wouldn't pick up the phone, so she wrote her a letter, and the letter was never sent out. It was lying on her husband's desk. So she said, we need to learn to speak what we feel right away without waiting. We never know when it's going to be too late. Tell others that you love them, tell them that you respect them, tell them that you care for them. It doesn't matter if they don't understand it or if they react in a different way that you would wish them to react. Just tell them. And it was really important for her because a year earlier, remember Judy was only 40 something, a year earlier she lost her best friend who died suddenly in an accident. And Tracy, the friend, was the kindest, the most generous person, and everybody loved her. But she changed the life of many people, but most of them didn't get a chance to tell her that. And all these people, they ended up feeling guilty until the end, because they didn't get a chance to tell her that. So this is another angle of what we're talking about. Don't hide your feelings, because you never know what's going to happen to you or to the person that you want to speak to, that you want to tell that you love them. And she says, honesty requires courage, and most of us don't have courage. That's why I'm the courage trainer. I don't want you to get to your deathbed and be stuck and just realize on your deathbed that you have so many regrets. Courage is important. Courage is a muscle, and it can be trained. Trust me. That's the ending to the story. The letter was sent to her mother, and she made it. And still, when Judy was alive, Judy told her that she loved her, and the mother told her that she was sorry for being so mean to her. And actually, it changed the mother's life. So she became a good grandmother to the children and moved out and became a different person just from that letter and just from being able to sort things out with her daughter before she died. Look how powerful it is. This is so powerful. Oh my God. Okay, the fear number 4, I wish I was in touch with my friends. So we got a story of... Doris, yes. Doris was old and she didn't really stay in touch. She was in a home. She was stuck in a home, and she was there for 4 months when Brogni came to the home, and to the home for the elderly. And she said Brogni was the first person that smiled and actually seemed kind. So for 4 months, she was very, very miserable over there, and she didn't have contact with any friends. So Brogni asked her for names of her friends, and she used the internet to find them. 2 of them were already dead. One of them they contacted, but and they spoke, but the 4th one was very difficult to find, right? And finally, after a lot of research, somebody came and said, her like an old neighbor said, gave them information about Lorraine, the friend, and then she got a phone number. And Doris wasn't really that bad, health-wise. But what happened is she immediately called her friend, Lorraine, and Lorraine was so happy to hear from her. Like, they both wanted to get in touch, but none of them did the move. Once they did the move, they were speaking for a long time and laughing like young women over the phone. And actually, Doris died that night because she was finally... that afternoon. She didn't even wait for the night. She was finally free and at peace. Wow, that's really powerful. I have another remark here. What is loneliness? So loneliness is not missing other people. It's the lack of acceptance and understanding. So Brogni didn't have an easy life, and she had suicidal thoughts at a point in her life, and it was really, really bad. But one day, when she was writing a suicide letter, she wanted to end it up with her. She was writing a suicide letter. A friend called her, who knew she was in trouble but didn't know really what was going on with her. So he called her. And so he listened to her, and then he just asked her to sit quietly, don't say a word. And she was just crying and helpless and just wanted to end everything. But he then, on the phone, started to play the guitar and sing Starry, Starry Night to her. And she just listened. And afterwards, she was just sobbing. And he wasn't even saying anything. He was just waiting there and in silence. She was finally accepted and understood. And so she didn't obviously kill herself. And then the next day, another friend from England called her, and that started a new chapter for her. So things started happening. Never give up. Incredible. Okay, fear number 5, the last one. It's a shame that I didn't allow myself to be happy. Now, this is a big one. So we've got a story of Rosemary here, who was with a tyrant who was beating her and almost killed her, and then she decided to leave him. Well, what happened there, she got so tough with herself that she just said no more men, and started to go up on the levels, up the ladder of a career, and she became a very, very well-renowned woman. Actually, she took one of the highest positions as a woman in her country. But then at the end of her life, she was quite mean, and she didn't like it when anybody was happy around her. Actually, when Brogni came to her, she was yelling at her and she said, go away, go away, go away, when she did something that she didn't really like, because she was really controlling, right? But instead, so Brogni could have gone away because she was just changing nurses all the time. But Brogni stayed with her, and she just sat there, went down to get some tea, and just waited for her to cool off. And then when she did, she just sat on the bed and gave her a kiss. And that's when Rosemary, was that? Yeah, she could relax. And then she said, I'm so lonely and I'm so afraid. Please don't leave me. I feel safe with you. So she was saying the complete opposite thing. And I want you to think about the situations where you've been in a situation like this, where somebody is pushing you away. That's not because they want you to go away. It's because they're afraid of you leaving them. There's an ending to this story. So she actually started changing a little bit, Rosemary. So one day, Brogni was there singing some song and being all cheerful around her. And Rosemary said, you're pissing me off. Why are you always cheerful? And she was really mad at her because unhappy people can't handle happy people. And then Brogni just showed her her tongue and just reacted with it with humor. And actually, Rosemary never did that ever again. And she started to accept life as it is. So, and she said, you know what? I don't think I ever felt that I deserve happiness. I don't think I ever felt that I deserve happiness. My divorce was for my family. They couldn't accept it. And that's why I didn't feel like I could be happy. So she started to let things go slowly. But this was just, at the end of her life. She thought of herself, she was pathetic when she was happy. That's why she wouldn't allow herself to be happy. And she was feeling guilty about it. Right, I think I have the last one. Okay, so there's Lenny. Lenny is... he was quite old, and as he was dying, he just kept repeating, I had a good life, I had a good life. And he was a happy guy, a truly happy guy. And Brogni was very surprised. He was one of her last patients, because what happened to Lenny is they had four kids with his wife. One of them died in Vietnam, and Lenny couldn't ever accept it. And he was still happy. Then his oldest daughter died in a car crash. Then another son, his youngest son, was very, he was mentally ill. And he also died in a mental hospital. So he lost 3 of his 4 children. And the 4th daughter was living in Dubai, which was very far away. And then his beloved wife, Rita, died before she was 50. Just after his son was given to the mental hospital, was delivered there. So, and then Lenny was still happy. He said, I was loved and I have loved, and this love lasted. That's what made him happy. It's all about the attitude. And freedom is a state of mind, and he was actually happy that he was going back to Rita and their children. And this is the last bit. He says, don't worry about the small stuff. They don't really, the details don't really matter. The only thing that matters is love. And if you remember that love is everywhere, you're going to have a good life. Hey, Suhail, good to see you here. When he was just dying, he closed his eyes and then he opened them, and then she saw just pure love. It was not a person anymore. It was just his soul smiling, and the love was pure, free of everything, and glowing and joyful. And they had a witness when they exchanged these looks, so she could feel the love that he had, the purest love, and feel the love. I'm good, thank you. And the witness could also feel it. And afterwards, when he said that, when he saw that, he said, "How am I going to explain this to anybody?" Because he knew a miracle happened. And that's an amazing story. I will tell you another one around this topic some other day. But that's it for today. Let me know if you liked it with the comments or hearts. It is a great book, which will make you feel oddly good, I think. And it's very important to read it and possibly even have it and reach out to this book when the going gets tough. Yes, that's true. That's true. So, a lot of these stories may not seem like it's not a sensation movie. There's no shootings, etc. It's just about the small things in life. But that's the beauty of it. The small things in life is what counts, and it's what makes us happy. If we start noticing them and being grateful, our lives can be incredible. And we have the power to change them on our own. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thanks, Aniki. Enjoy your evenings, your days. Oh, and Thursday. Oh my God, Thursday. That's going to be such a huge change of mood because, Thursday I'm interviewing at the same time at 7. Tamara, who is she's got such incredible energy. Oh my God, I think my phone is going to explode. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Martin. So Thursday, she's just going to inspire us all over the place, like inspiration. Thursday, I'm super, super, super excited about what's going on the Thursday interview. Watch that one. Okay, bye guys. Thank you.